Last week, I made a very bold prediction against the Wall Street consensus. And that prediction is that Tesla will launch its affordable Model Y this month. Not just this month, but very, very soon. And this prediction was pretty bold because most people said, no, it's not going to happen. They were dead silent, Tesla, about that model launch. And launching that model would be tremendously disruptive and reflect in the stock. And now guess what happened this Sunday? Very dramatic news on X because Tesla was talking about something. Before we get into that, here's the calendar that I presented just last week. And what I said is, look at these three scenarios. I am 90% sure that the affordable model against the consensus will be launched in October. And I drew these three scenarios. You see the purple, you see the green, you see the dark red. The purple is what seems to be happening now. My scenario number 1 said Tesla will launch the affordable model between October 6th, which is tomorrow, Monday, and October 10th. That was my scenario number 1. And guess what just happened? Let me share something with you. We see that Tesla launched this little video. Let me show it here. This little video, and it's very mysterious. I will show you the video. Maybe you hear the sound, the spinning wheel, and then this date shows up. What could this mean? Of course, there's lots of speculation what it means, but it ends with 10-7. And if you go back to the calendar, 10-7 is exactly here in my little scenario. It is on Tuesday. It is on Tuesday this week. Now, of course, the question is that even the affordable model we are looking at? What does this mean? Is that a wheel or is it something else? No one knows. But given the bigger situation, we had all kinds of speculations on X. Some said it's the Tesla Roadster. I think that is completely ridiculous. Others said, oh, it might be a drone. It might be a helicopter. It might be a Frisbee. Sure. Who knows? We know that tomorrow, Monday, the 6th, Elon said they're going to launch FSD 14. But there was never a launch event around FSD 14 or 13 or 12. And we know how big of a deal the Model Y affordable will be. So my speculation just gets confirmed here. And I think we are dealing with the actual affordable model launch. Now, we are not just interested in making the right predictions here. We are also most interested in trading this effectively. And we'll go a little bit now into the question, what does it all mean? Are we just winning with our tactical trade? Hey, creating these videos is a lot of work. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Now let's get back to the video. To repeat the trade for all of you who missed the videos last week, I'm a long-term, heavy Tesla investor. I believe in the long-term thesis of Tesla. My price target for 2030 is $8,000, which is a conservative base case based on discounted cash flows of Optimus and Robotaxi with a bunch of assumptions that we are not going to go into today. That is my position. I'm long-term invested and I hold. However, because I have a boosted portfolio, I'm going sometimes on margin, I'm being very aggressive about Tesla trading, I'm leveraging insights like I have right now. That's why I'm making these predictions. It's not just fun to be right on X. It's about being right in my portfolio. And what I'm doing is I'm taking on a little bit more leverage. If I see a targeted bet is possible in a very restricted time window with minimum risk. That is why I'm paying a lot of attention. And that's why the next 2 weeks are so important for me, the weeks before earnings. I don't want to hold any kind of risky bet through earnings. I'm not into the earnings game. Very hard to generate alpha. Here it was possible to generate alpha. So that's why I'm paying attention. And that's why you should pay attention if you're more than just a long-term holder, if you actually placed a bet that is important and puts you a little bit into risky territory. So what is it now we have to look at for this event? assuming it is the affordable model, and I think there's a 90% chance that we will see the affordable model being launched on Tuesday this week on 10/7. We also, by the way, have additional evidence, 100% confirmed evidence, that Tesla in Austin has invited a series of important influencers to the factory and have showed them something. And they're embargoed. They're not allowed to talk about it. Maybe they're allowed to talk about it tomorrow. I don't think so. Maybe they're allowed to talk about it and prepare everything for October 7th, for Tuesday. So that makes it even more likely we are dealing with this. Now, the Tesla Newswire, I think, when was that? On September 30th, I think, has shared this thing here, where they describe all the different new features or stripped features of that affordable model. The most important and only decisive point here is the price point. Because I showed you guys that when it comes to pricing, there is a certain elasticity curve for cars, EVs, and all kinds of cars. But let's look at EVs. Here is the elasticity curve. And why is this also important? This is EV elasticity. This is the most important chart ever for us, for shareholders, and for anyone who's interested in this. Let me zoom in. And what does this chart show us? If you're viewers, subscribers to the channel, please subscribe, right? So you're not missing anything. We go into a very critical moment now in Q4. But this chart shows you the percentage of market, the TAM, of the total EV market. And on the on the x-axis, it shows you the MSRP, the price. And what you see when you zoom in, right, here's 5%. What you see is that between 20,000 and 40,000, but especially somewhere here's 30,000, right? Here's 20,000. Here's 20,000. Here's 40,000. So here is 30,000. And then here is 35,000. And what you see, why this is so decisive, is if Tesla can push the price of the affordable Model Y below 35,000, the more the better. But they don't need much. If they press it to 34,000 or something like that, they could achieve a 300% expansion of their TAM. They can achieve a 300% expansion of all the buyers in the world that could afford a Tesla. That is very important. And of course, there's some more affordable Model 3s in that region, even though they're a little more expensive. But you see how important it is to hit this price point. And the Model Y is much more attractive to everyone. So that is why it's so important and so all decisive to figure out, is the Tesla network, the Tesla Newswire, is he correct in saying it's $39,000? Which would be very bad, in my opinion. I think if we see a $39,000 or $37,000 price point, the stock will drop. That is my prediction. It will drop because people will say lame, disappointment. Whereas if they press it below 35,000, we win. The stock's going to go up. And I go into the lease price, which is even more important. Elon confirmed that the lease monthly price is the most important. But is he right or not? So what did I do? I sat down for you guys, and to be totally frank, for myself first, to get clarity. What are we dealing with most likely? Is this a win Tuesday? Is the stock going to go up or is it going to go down? Very important. I have come to the conclusion, TLDR, probably we're going to go up. And here's why. I prepared for you an overview over the exact logic that I'm seeing here. I'm not an expert on these things. I just know a bunch of experts like Jeff Lutz and others. I listen to them. I draw my conclusions. So this is not perfect. This is an approximation. I am not a supply chain or COGS expert in automotive. But I have a brain and I know something about leases. So let's go right into it, and I will explain my reasoning here. Long story short, I will jump right into the decisive question. I believe Tesla can, number one, get to a $34,900, maybe a little lower price point that they will reveal on Tuesday. I think they can get there. But more importantly, I think they can drop the monthly lease price from $520 currently to $299 and actually make money. That is the quick takeaway if you don't have time for the whole video. But I will make it very quick to explain why I'm thinking this. So number one, the estimated COGS for the current cheapest version of the Model Y is the long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y. That's the cheapest in the United States, available at $44,500 and $520 a month with $3,000 down for 36 months lease, and I think 10,000 miles a year. Okay, the assumed COGS are, here is where I'm actually not an expert. I'm assuming it's around 36,000 because the average COGS for Tesla is 35,100. That includes lower priced Model 3s. So I do not believe that this long range rear wheel Model Y, the cheapest, is much more than 36,000. Okay. Now it's all about the savings we can achieve to arrive at the new COGS for the affordable Model Y. And I think we can achieve $5,900 in savings roughly. Let me explain. Let's start at the bottom. All the convenience and luxury cuts that we saw, you can go through X all over the place. The wheels exterior styling reduction in cost, $300. The HEPA filter, $200. Power folding side mirrors, $200. Interior trim materials, $400. Second row touchscreen, $300. Premium lighting, $500. Now we get into the big chunky stuff. Panoramic glass roof, $800. So the more we are going down here, the less sure I am. Right? I'm sure some expert can tell you, oh, Joe, you're so dumb. Second row touchscreen, they actually cost $289, not $300. I don't know. But I know that the panoramic glass roof is a big deal. I think 800 is realistic. And here are the big chunks. There will be a battery reduction. There is just no doubt because you have a long range Model Y, right now. That's the cheapest you have on Tesla.com. We can take a quick look so you see what I mean. We go to Tesla.com and look at the actual available cars and see, the Model Y. Let's go to Model Y and see what we see. Model Y, order now. And you will see a long range rear wheel drive, 44,990. Oh, it's actually 990, not 500. Long range all-wheel drive, $3,000 more. Performance, much more, 9,000 more. Okay? So that is what I'm saying. And I also believe we will see roughly $1,000. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I'm estimating $1,000 in actually manufacturing, scaling, and method upgrades. Because now we are dealing with the highest volume Model Y ever created. Don't forget this. This is why it's a big deal. And this is why we probably see an event. So this is a very big deal. We get to 5,900. We get therefore to 30,100 COGS. And what does it mean? It reduces the on-paper margin for actual hard sales into the market from 23% to 15% to 16%, right? This is tough. This is mean. But don't forget, leasing is much more important. We have to look at the lease margin. And before I get to the lease, quick commentary on FSD. We know that FSD take rates are going up dramatically. We know that they are now not single digit anymore, but double digit. Lars said so, the head of engineering of Tesla, leaked it a little bit. So we are dealing with, let's say, 15% FSD take rates. And with Robotaxi expanding, with FSD 14 coming, I would bet that the FSD take rate will approximate 50% very soon. Why is that important? Because what we see is if we assume $8,000, that's the current price of FSD, or put into the monthly payments of $99 on top of the monthly lease, if you factor in FSD, what you see is that these big differentials in gross margin actually go away. So let that sink in. If you have one model $10,000 cheaper, the margin takes a hit. But if you add on FSD, look, the differential is only less than 2%. It's 1.6% or something. So this isn't that very interesting. So if you factor in FSD, it's only 1.6%. Let's assume only 50% take rate. It's still only 3% differential. And what is Tesla thinking? Well, we need a bigger install base. More people can get FSD. Let's cut them a little slack and get them there, right? Okay, let's continue. So this is the headline number. But Elon already told us he's optimizing for monthly payments, not MSRP, because people don't care about MSRP. No one understands this stuff. People are just interested how much they have to pay. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details. By the way, I'm going to share this sheet here, the affordable Model Y lease calculator, so you guys can do your own math. I'm going to share it on pioneerlands.net in the Tesla strategy tab. I'm doing it right after this video, so you can download this thing. And what you see here is a lease calculation. So in case you're not a finance guy and don't understand how leases actually work, you take the MSRP, you take the COGS, you take what's called the residual value after 36 months. How much is this thing worth once you're done with the lease? And the differential is what needs to be financed. So in this case, what you see here, the lease value, if the residual value is 57%, which is my assumption for the Model Y, which is actually good to conservative, you have to finance $16,135 after you deduct the $3,000 down, right? So this is all in there. There's a financing rate that just gives Tesla more margin. And then you have the monthly depreciation, which is how it is accounted for as gross margin for a Tesla, right? If you lease a Tesla, they depreciate it per month, and then they have a sales or lease price on top of it. The difference is the gross margin. Okay, now here's the interesting thing. If you take the cheapest Model Y right now in the United States, the long range rear-wheel drive Model Y, it costs you $520 per month. Right? If you don't believe me, oh, it's actually a little more here. If you don't believe me, look at this. Here's the proof. It costs you $529 a month. Okay, $3,000 down, 36 months. So I'm off by $9. Okay, so it doesn't matter, not a big difference. Now, if you could drop $520 down to $299, isn't that a huge headline? I tell you, yes, it's a huge headline. This is what I call affordable. Look at the percentage drop, right? Should I calculate the percentage? I can do it right now, right? You can basically say this is 1 minus, this divided by this, being 40% drop. You know, if you can drop the price of your car by 42.5%, isn't that a very big deal? It is. It is a very big deal. This is headline news. That's why I'm bullish, if they can pull this off. But now there's the interesting thing. Can they pull it off? Right? Let's go to the right, because here's the only decisive number. This is without FSD. Without FSD. Actually, that new model, if they sell it for this price, has a gross margin of 14.39% as opposed to the Model Y long range rear wheel at the moment only at 13.81%. Of course, these percentages are much higher with FSD, but that's a different topic. But the 14.39% goes through the freaking roof if you put a 99 FSD on top of it. Much more than this one. 42% more, by the way. So isn't that very interesting? I think it's tremendously interesting. And you might ask, Joe, what kind of black magic is this? This is black finance magic. How can the margin be lower for the MSRP, but then higher for the lease? Well, the answer is that the residual value of lower priced cars is higher than of higher priced cars. Okay, in simple terms, if you buy a very expensive car, it depreciates as a percent of the car value much faster than a cheaper car. The highest residual values in the world are Honda Civics and Toyota somethings, RAVs or something. Cheap cars deteriorate less in value because the used car market for affordable models is much higher because poorer people have to buy their cars. And so the demand pressure on lower priced cars is higher when they're used. Okay? That is why I think it's very justified to put the slightly higher, 7 percentage points higher residual value on that. And I think that's what Tesla's going to do. And that's why the gross margin is higher, even though the monthly price is 42% lower. Of course, there's a lot of cheating going on because the down payment is not 42% lower. So it's all cheating. But it's called car financing, and consumers don't understand that. For the consumer, the monthly price will be 42% lower. That would be dramatic. So here you have the magic finance. That is, if this happens, if we get to $299, it's going to be huge. The stock is going to go up. Okay? Could I be wrong? What is the weakness of my model? I cannot be wrong on the lease model. This is solid, bulletproof. I can be wrong on two things. Are the COGS for the Model Y really 36,000 or are they much higher? I don't know. I don't think they're much higher. They could be 37,000, which wouldn't be great. Can we really save $5,900? Well, I am highly confident we can save 2,000 or 2,500 on the battery. I'm highly confident we can save 1,000 or 500 on the manufacturing. I'm highly confident we can save 800 on the glass roof. I don't know about the rest. So maybe we can only save 5,000. But you see where I'm going here? See where I'm going here? All of these numbers, we have a lot of buffer here, by the way. We have a lot of buffer because Tesla could even decrease that number, the financing rate internally, right? And that gets us to 288. It can lower it to 3%. And it goes us to 280. So we have $20 a month buffer in here. And, you know, it's not too bad, right? So I think this financing rate could be very, very good. Gives us a lot of buffer. Of course, technically, then this goes down, which I didn't price in because this number here refers actually, to that number, which is fixed, and not to this number because I wanted to actually fix it to the retail lease, but it doesn't matter. So how confident am I that we arrive at the 299? That is the headline number, 299 a month. Well, I think 399 is too high. I do not think Tesla can do anything to actually have to do 399. I think 349 is very lame. So I think there's a huge incentive of Tesla to drive that headline number to 299 lease for the affordable Model Y. And I think if they get there, the stock will go up. Because then I think they are firmly in this territory that truly matters. It's a little hard because ARK Invest did not translate this chart into lease per month prices, but at 299, you're firmly in this area, right? So there you have it. That is my theory. Let's see what happens on Tuesday. Let's see if it's actually the affordable model. I think there's a 90% chance it is the affordable model, 10% chance it's something completely random and different. And if it's the affordable model, I would put the odds that I'm right with the 299 headline. It's 70%. Let's say 70%. 70% chance I'm right. Make it 75%. So don't bet the farm on this, but I'm betting on it. So I hope that was helpful. There's much more coming this week. This is going to be a tight, dense week. I will have something for you tomorrow that covers Optimus, because there's also dramatic things happening with Optimus that we have to cover. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Go to pioneerlands.net, sign up, get the model. It's free. And then we go from there. See you very soon.